What's up, people? We are live with the MMA Mainstream Podcast. I'm James, of course, joined by my co-host Kaelyn. Kaelyn, we have a guest.
We do.
Jacqueline Green is joining us. She competed last night at 559 Fights and got the W. Jacqueline, thank you for joining us.
Of course, yes.
Tell us a little bit about your fight last night. Tell us your thoughts and everything, all the emotions that you felt going through it. Just tell us your experience.
So it was my debut fight. I just turned 18. I was been very prolonged, very waited for this moment. So I was very excited. I was more excited than nervous, honestly, I think. But going in, I think it's just the best kind of debut fight I could have had, going in with somebody who has a lot more experience with MMA fights, has had 3 fights already. So I think going in, she was a heavy hitter. She was definitely a heavy hitter, but it just went down to technique at that point. But I had so much fun. I had more fun than anything I've ever done. I've been waiting for this for so long. So it was awesome. It was so much emotions came in at the end. Just happy tears, everything. Everyone was so happy. I had so much supporters. It was awesome, honestly. It was a good night. Very good night.
So is this the first time? It was your debut, but have you competed in any tournaments or anything like that beforehand?
Yeah, so when I was younger, I used to do judo tournaments. I went to Worlds when I was little. I think I placed 4th at Worlds. And then I went and I started doing jiu-jitsu tournaments. And then I think what kind of really helped me with competition was high school wrestling, because I'm still doing that right now. So going in and having match after match after match every single weekend, it helped a lot. It helped so much, because then you get so.
Uh-oh.
I was like, did everyone stop, or is it just hers?
I was like, uh-oh.
I was waiting for you to move your head so we could see if everyone got paused or not. Okay, here we go.
There we go.
I think. No.
Come on, frozen sad face. All right.
When it only freezes on one person, is that their internet or?
There we go. Jacqueline, you there?
Yay. No noise.
We don't have any audio from you. Let's see. Uh-oh, there it goes again.
Oh.
Working on some technical issues, folks.
I guess. Man.
Now we can't hear you now. Oh, she dipped out. I'm pretty sure she'll come back. But yeah, we checked out 559 Fights yesterday, so we did see her fight, and she had a really good fight. Came out with a lot of great technique. The fights overall, if I heard correctly, there were 21 fights in total.
Okay, no wonder it was so long.
It was a lot, but it was fun. I mean, if you're a fight
that makes
fan,
more sense.
559 Fights is definitely in Central California. Is definitely the place you want to go to check out fights. Jacqueline is joining us once again. There we go.
Hey, here we go.
Back.
Okay, cool.
Welcome back.
Yes. Okay.
So anyway,
there. Yeah, please continue, Kaelyn.
Yeah, you were competing in judo tournaments. Any other kind of tournaments like Muay Thai or anything like that before this?
I've had 2 Muay Thai tournaments, and then wrestling and jiu-jitsu mainly.
Oh, okay. Great.
Yeah.
She is one of our youngest interviews that we've ever had. Yeah, she's still in high school, just turned 18, and just started competing in MMA. So one of the youngest we've ever had on this show.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're right. I think that is the youngest. That's awesome.
Wow.
And she's a fighting machine. That's awesome.
Yeah. So what did you think when they matched you up with your opponent? Because I know Debbie competed in a lot of Muay Thai amateur fights. Outside of that, I'm not sure if she's done anything else. I don't really know her too well, but I do know that she's done Muay Thai for a while, and she's had a few MMA fights. What did you think when you got that matchup? Did you want it right away, or did you kind of have to think about it, or how did you feel about that?
So, a week prior from this fight, I was offered a fight for VFS, and the fight was on, and we were supposed to fight. It was supposed to be at 155. And the girl pulled out 4 days prior to the actual fight. So that kind of messed things up. And then Jeremy called Doug, my coach, and said, hey, like, we got to fight for your girl at 170s. Like, and the second I heard 170s, I was on board because that's what that. So I was like, if I don't have to cut down to 155, that's great for me. So I took it immediately. I was like sure, like that's like 100% because I just been wanting to fight. That's literally I just wanted to fight. So I would have taken anybody.
So what how much weight do you normally have to cut for your tournaments and stuff like that?
So for wrestling, for most of my tournaments, for everything else, it's always been at 170s. But for MMA, I knew it'd be kind of like hard for them to find a girl at 170s.
True.
So when I went to go for VFS, they could only find 155 for the highest. So I was like, oh, okay, I'll just have to cut down. That's perfectly fine. Like I'll do it. And so then I was 5 pounds down from my cut weight before then, and then she canceled. Then, like I said, he called and said we got 170s. Like, I'll take it 100%.
Well, no, you're right. I don't know how many fights I've ever seen at that weight as far as females go, because I know 155. I think 155 is the highest that you'll see. And like, you know, the pros, like the PFL, I think has active 155 women.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I've never seen anything higher than that in the pros. So it is actually pretty rare. Also, you girls don't look that heavy anyway. So it's kind of weird.
Yeah.
I would probably guess 155 if I had to guess, but you're super tall though. I know that. So that was a very exciting fight, by the way, last night.
Very much.
And I think you guys were the only female competitors on that card, right?
Yeah.
That made it more exciting. I know the crowd was going crazy for you guys. It was a wild fight.
Yes,
like, so round by round, what were you feeling like? Did you feel like you won? Did you feel like you were showcasing everything you wanted to do? Or did you feel like maybe you're in trouble? Or how did that go for you?
So I was just talking about this, honestly. So in that position when you're kind of like, when you're fighting and everything, you're not really thinking about the shots that you're landing or anything good that you're doing. You're just, all you remember is, I just got hit again and again.
Yeah.
And again. So when you're there and it's going to decision and you're like waiting for your hand to get raised, you're only thinking like, shit, like I got hit so many times. I don't know, like your hand raised and you look back at the video and it's like, oh, like I actually.
And you just, yeah, I feel like I've done some amateur Muay Thai and I feel the exact same way. When you go in there, all you're thinking about is how many times they hit you.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, I totally lost. And then you go back and watch it. You're like, okay, that was a different fight. I don't remember doing any of that stuff. Yeah. So is that kind of like what you're saying is when you went back and watched it, it was completely different than what you were feeling inside of there at the time?
Yeah, because honestly, I don't even remember like half the things that go on in the fight. All I remember is like right then and there what's going on. But yeah, and then like in between rounds, like just having to listen to my coaches, hearing them, it was just like you hear them and they see the same thing that you're seeing, where it's like they're only looking at what you're doing wrong. So then exactly. they're also thinking the same thing that you are. So it's like it's just like you gotta get your shit together and get in there. And so it's like you just gotta, it's like fast reaction. You have to fix things the second as they go. So, but it was definitely fun. It's definitely different. It's like getting in there and having it be like my first time, like putting on the MMA gloves, getting in there and actually getting hit. Completely different world, but I loved it. It was so much fun. Yeah.
So is it completely different than, like, do you spar, during training? So I don't know, you never know how hard what it's going to feel like when you actually get hit from an opponent that's really trying to win, rather than like your sparring partners where like, you're not going to hurt each other, obviously. So, but it's kind of hard to get exactly what that's going to feel like when you get in there and when you get hit and how you're going to react to it. Do you have a lot of sparring partners?
I have tons of sparring partners. They're all great. Like so over at my gym, I'm like one of the only girls that trained for like when it comes to Muay Thai. I'm like literally the youngest and one of the only girls. So it's like a whole bunch of guys and they're all so nice and all so kind and everything. But it's like you get in there and they show you a look. They show you what you need to see. And so going in there and only training with guys, it gives you a different perspective because they hit you. They will hit you and like get hit. And
it's always like, hard. Like you don't know what it feels like to win.
Like whenever you're in there and you're getting hit by another girl who who is in there for the same reason that you are. They're trying to win. It's like it's definitely a different ball game, but it's like it's just so much fun. The adrenaline rush that you get is amazing.
We were talking about your fight before we started the show, and you thought you had her in that triangle, the triangle, and we thought you had her in that triangle too, because you were going, and she just did not give up. And then I want to say you transitioned to an armbar at the end.
Mm-hmm.
I thought every time you went to armbar, you were going to have it, but every time you went for an armbar, it was like at the very end of the round, and I'm like, come on!
Yeah, I feel like if you had like 10 more seconds, I think you would have gotten both of those.
Yeah, so I was in that triangle. I was there, and I could hear her. She sounded like she was like struggling, so you could hear it. And so I just keep tightening, and then having the shin guards on, it makes slippery, all that stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so having to like just try and tighten it, pull the head down, all that stuff, trying to pull the head down, pinch the knees together. Everything is just like you hear your coaches yelling at you to do a whole bunch of different things, and you hear her coaches over there yelling at her to like post up, all that stuff. So it's like it was frustrating, but I kind of at that point I was like just trying to think like, okay, like obviously at this point the triangle is not gonna work, so I was just try transitioning to that armbar and just try like landing a couple shots, and that's all I really could do at that point. So, but I mean, it worked. So,
well, with it being your debut, your technique was on par, and it looked very smooth for you to transition to these things compared to a lot of, I mean, even from the bottom of the card, like we've talked about 559 fights in the past, that as the card goes on, it gets better because of the experience of the fighters. And yet you were higher up on the card. This is your debut, and you look like a seasoned vet.
Yeah.
Like you really went out there, and it looked phenomenal as a fighter. So, like, props to you on that for it just being your debut.
Thank you.
And now, you've competed in your first fight. What's next for you? Do you want to compete again, or are you going to wait because you're in high school still? Do you want to enjoy being a high school student, or do you want to get back out there and compete?
So right now, my wrestling season actually just started. So yesterday we had a tournament. I didn't go to it because I had all my wrestling girls all went to that, but I had to opt out of it. But this entire season, it's like right now I'm ranked number 1 in state for 170s.
Oh.
So I got to kind of keep up that.
Yeah.
So the rest of this year until I think about the end of February, I'll be keeping up with just my wrestling and just trying to finish that off with a good season. And it's my last year, so just try and get that through it. And then right after, hopefully maybe in March, if there's a card, I'll go in and fight in that one. Honestly, yeah.
So you do wrestling. Do you do any other sports in school, or are you just mainly focusing on wrestling? And by the way, how'd you get into wrestling? Also, I know it's rare for females to do wrestling. I know more and more are definitely doing it. I see it with like my friends' kids and stuff. Like they're putting their little girls in it, and I think I wish someone would have forced me to do that. But how did you get into that? What made you want to do that?
So going into wrestling, it was like I knew I wanted to fight before I even got into high school. I know if I wanted to fight, so I wanted to fight maybe in elementary school. I knew that I was wanting to fight.
That's awesome.
So,
oh my gosh.
Whenever I got into high school, I was like, okay, well, I need wrestling to fight. I was like, I need to know that type of thing. So going into wrestling, it was never my intention to like really be like state placer, all this stuff, go to all these big tournaments and all these things. It was mainly just learn another sport to have it on my belt, so when I go into fighting, I know what to do. Wow. So kind of going into it was mainly just so I can learn more for MMA. So honestly, that's literally all I ever joined wrestling for. But
what got you into wanting to do MMA at so young? Like what inspired that?
So when I was like 5, I actually used to be a dancer. I used to do ballet and tap. And my mom, she wanted me to learn how to defend myself. So she found out that they were doing judo at the YMCA. So she brought me there to learn. And I was like, within a week, she thought I was going to quit within like a week. She was like, she's not going to like it. She's just going to go back to dance. I went in and I ended up absolutely loving it. And then around 7 years old, I went to my first tournament and just immediately it just felt right. I was like, I don't want to do dance, screw dance. That's boring. I'll get I want to be like so. And then after a while, my dad would show me videos of like Ronda Rousey because she was big in the Olympics and everything. And then he showed me like, oh, she also does this. Like, she does MMA. She fights all that. And then so she'd also show me fights of like Kimbo Slice, all that stuff. So growing up, I absolutely admired them. And then I was like, just watching the fights, I'd be on the TV. I'd be like, that's what I want to do. Like, that looks fun.
That's phenomenal. That really is, especially at such a young age. Like, kind of basically grooming to be like this next top fighter at such a young age. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I keep thinking, okay, so you're 18. I'm trying to think back. Like, because I started watching, UFC and stuff pretty late. Like, I was already, I don't know, 20 or something like that, or 18, 17 maybe. Never.
Oh, you youngsters.
No, I will. But, I never thought in a million years I'd want to do it. But the more you watch it, I'm like, whoa. And then I think watching Ronda Rousey as well is like, okay, so that's a girl. She can do it. Mm-hmm. And then you find out that all these other girls have been competing also. And I think that's cool. I'm glad you said that because I feel like she really was like the main inspiration for women. And then, that also helps that you said your dad or your parents were showing you videos of her and stuff. So that's
they
cool
cultivated the idea.
Yeah. And then how do they feel about you fighting? Do they like it or do they have a problem with it?
So it kind of, so after a while they'd go with it. They'd be like, oh, like she wants to fight. Like, okay, it'll probably wear off after a while. She'll get hit. She'll like.
They were hoping maybe.
Yeah.
It would wear off.
While years went by, and I just never stopped wanting to do it. My motivation just kept getting bigger and bigger. So it's like after a while, they were kind of like, she's probably gonna end up doing it. Like they'd have to like get used to it. And then my mom, she still gets super nervous all the time.
Of course, you're her baby.
Yes, my dad gets so pumped. He gets so happy about it. Nervous, but it's like both of them, they're very supportive about it.
That's good.
Yeah.
Now, what is your favorite thing to actually do? Is it overall MMA? Do you really enjoy the wrestling, the jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai? Out of all those disciplines, which one do you enjoy practicing and working on the most?
So, out of everything that I've ever done, I'd probably say it was judo. Judo was honestly, it was a completely different environment than, like, if say you were to put like a jiu-jitsu tournament together and a judo tournament together, they look completely different. There's like
really
screaming everywhere. Jiu-jitsu tournaments, judo, it's very like just like straight. You have to be this, and this. Very, very disciplined in judo, and it's very like good people there though. But and like the techniques were just very interesting to me. It's just like the rules, everything was awesome. But like out of the current ones that I'm doing, it's probably Muay Thai, just because it's so much more action going on. It's just a lot like fast paced and everything.
What is your training schedule like for you, and how are you able to balance, going to training constantly and school?
So, like on a normal like weekday, I usually go to the gym like in the morning right before school, and then I go throughout
early.
Yeah. And so that throughout my school day, do all that, and then I go straight to either wrestling or depending on when wrestling season's going on. And then if I'm going to wrestling, I'll see if I can cut into jiu-jitsu a little bit, and then I go straight to Doug's and do Muay Thai and all that stuff. And then depending on like if I have like a wrestling tournament coming up or a fight coming up, we'll go to the gym after that. And then I come home around maybe like 9:30, come home, like do some work, and then get ready for bed and just do the next thing the next day.
You are one busy person. Jeez.
My weekends are just like where I work. Mainly I just work jobs. That's it. Yeah.
So, so you're pretty used to cutting weight for wrestling. So do you have to do anything special with your diet, or is it really not that hard for you?
Oh, so when I had to cut for 155 for the fight that got canceled, it was kind of difficult, but because wrestling has definitely helped me with that. So it was kind of like normal for me. It was more, and it kind of shed down pretty fast. My body starts to cut weight really fast once it realizes what I'm trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
So it was difficult, but it's mainly like water cuts that I can't stand. I hate water cuts. Horrible. But that's why I try to get down as much as possible. But it's not too bad for me, honestly. I would say it's the water. Like usually cuts aren't that bad for me.
That's good. I know sometimes it can be a little more difficult for females rather than the men because they seem like they can do it no problem. I had a fight, like a few years ago or something, but it was the hardest one. Like, and I didn't have to cut that much, but it was so difficult. Like, I can't imagine, cutting more than like 10 pounds because that was actually a struggle. But I feel like, wrestlers do have a lot of experience doing that because they're so used to doing it that I think that's a really good advantage for you to know and like already have that. Like you said, your body realizes what it's doing. Mm-hmm. So that's pretty cool that it's already kind of in that mode. Like, it works out for you. Yeah. So that's really cool. So you said you're going to start doing your wrestling season. What are your plans like when you graduate? Are you trying to go pro with this MMA or what are you trying to pursue?
So after high school, I'm going to be going into trade school for welding. And at the same time, I'll be fighting and hopefully I'll be going pro either close to the end of next year or the year after that. I don't want to spend too much time in amateur because I don't want to burn out so fast. So I want to go into pro 100%. The goal is UFC, either UFC, Bellator, one of those big organizations, 100%. But yeah, just going into like trade school so I can have like a job that's good to keep me standing, and that's pretty much it. And then after fighting, I kind of want to think about opening up my own gym, starting my own type of thing, just so I could have my own thing going on.
Now, is there anybody currently that, because you talked about Ronda Rousey, how you were watching videos of her when you were younger and that got you really into it. Is there any fighters now, male or female, that currently inspire you and keep you motivated in continuing?
Mm-hmm. So, definitely Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor has always been one of my favorites. Just I love him and his personality, just the way he's. Personally, I think he's very, very smart. He's very good with business. He's very smart with that stuff. Mm-hmm. And people don't like him. They have to admit that he is smart when it comes to those type of things. And he's definitely inspiring to me. He's always been inspiring to me since I was younger. Also, I always liked him. And then probably also Rose Namajunas. She's also one of my favorites just because she's tough. She's a tough girl. Like, I love watching her fights. She's so interesting to watch, and just her in general, she seems like a very, very good person.
So how are you feeling after your fight last night? Are you hurt? Are you sore? Or are you good to go?
So body-wise, everything on my body, I feel great. I honestly feel perfectly fine. I have a tournament this Tuesday for wrestling.
Oh my God.
I'm going and doing that. But obviously my face is kind of banged up a little bit right here and on the sides. And
not too bad though. No big scar or cuts open or anything. So
no,
you're all right.
Some bruise, just ice and get rid of it. So by Tuesday I'll be fine, and it should be fine. So everything else is great. No injuries, no nothing.
So were you nervous?
Now you have
going in there. I'm sorry.
One thing, real quick. Oh. You have a tournament this Tuesday. Is there a weight cut? Because you just cut, or you were able to go up and wait for your fight, but so you don't have any weight cut. You're good to go already for wrestling.
Yep. So 170.
Awesome. That's really good.
70s. So when I got that fight for 170s, I was like, "That's perfect."
It was perfect.
It happens for a reason. So it's like if I had to cut down for 155s, I definitely have struggled getting back up to 170s. But now everything went together. It's just perfect timing.
Awesome. All right, sorry, Kaelyn. Please continue.
Oh no, it's fine. I was going to say, were you nervous walking out there? Have you gone and watched a lot of amateur MMA before you did this? Have you gone and watched the 559 fights before? Like, did you know what you're getting yourself into, or was it completely new?
So surprisingly, I've only been to maybe 3 amateur fights in my entire life that I actually go watch. So my first 559 fight I watched, I was maybe 14, and then I've been to 2 VFS fights the past like 4 months, and that was about it. But going in, I've always watched people like with their walkouts, all that stuff, and so I kind of knew what to expect. I was more excited than anything. Walking out was probably my favorite part that I've ever done. I got a song. Like I was struggling the past like 2 weeks trying to find a song that was perfect for it. That song was perfect.
That song you came out to, okay, I'm obviously the oldest person in this right now, but I was singing along and I was like, I couldn't even see you because I was on the other side of the cage, and I'm just like, she's my cherry pie. I was jamming out. I was having a cool time.
That was your song.
Yeah.
Good stuff. I approve.
Yes, I it was different things. It was either like Jukebox Hero. It was gonna be BG's, maybe Billy Joel is gonna walk out to any of them.
Why a song that is almost 20 to 30 years older than you?
I'm the youngest one in my family, so growing up around all adults, it was like, it's like that's all I would listen to, and I grew up on. I love it. It's just like all my favorite music, and I never really liked the whole like the songs that are all hard and everything. I always
You didn't want to walk out to that 50 Cent.
I was just gonna say that. Yeah, you don't want to walk out to Many Men. Like 8 dudes walked out to that. I'm like, okay, I'm pretty sure that many people don't want to kill you because you don't know that many people. Just saying. Sorry.
Yeah. Like I kind of wanted to walk out to something different. I wanted to be different. I kind of changed the vibe that was in the room, and so it was like, why not walk out to Cherry Pie? I was like, why not? It was, I grew up on that song. It was like, I loved it so much. It was definitely like, when I heard that song, because I completely forgot about it. I was going through my Spotify. I was like, I need to find like a good song. And I was like, I saw it and I was like, oh my God. I was like, how did I forget about the song? And I was like, I found I turned it into Jeremy. I was like, this is the song. So yeah.
Yeah, I think you definitely got people pumped up. You know, like right away. It was great. Your fight was really exciting. People were on their feet towards the end. I think, well, when you almost had her arm, I think everyone was like really like anticipating a finish, but the damn bell kept going off right when you would get it.
Yeah. I know, watching the video friends would take, you see all the people, because all my friends were in the crowd, so watching all the people standing up on their feet in the crowd, it was awesome.
Yeah, you had a lot of supporters there, it sounded like.
A lot of supporters.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you're in the Visalia area, I take it?
Yes.
So basically you were fighting in front of a hometown crowd.
Yep.
How did that feel for your first fight? Was that exciting to you, or is it just another day in the office?
Yeah, it was awesome, honestly, because I'd see people who I've never met in my entire life come up to me right after my fight, and they were all talking to me, asking for pictures. So it was like, I'm not used to like people like coming up like, oh. It was awesome, and like I had people's kids, like their daughters coming up to me asking if I could take pictures. That was probably the best part too, because I had like people's like their parents be like, "Oh, could you take a picture with you?" I was like, "Of course, of course." And so that was a whole different thing. It was just awesome having to have them have like all the supporters and see how many people were there for me.
Yeah, especially with you being a young fighter, you are like an inspiration for young girls out there. That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, I feel like, you know, when you're that young, I feel like a lot of your opponents are going to be quite older than you, and they're going to, you know, they're probably going to have more experience, but I think there's a definite advantage to you already learning all these different martial arts already from a really young age. I feel like a lot of people get into it maybe not too late, but later, to where like, you know, they didn't train it when they were a kid. They're getting into it when they're, you know, pretty much an adult or, you know, like 18 or upper teenagers. But I think I feel like there's more and more men and women that are training when they're super young now.
Oh,
and maybe because we're just getting older, but time is going by really fast now that I feel like the generation of fighting is switching to, instead of these old men that fight in bars, you know, like the old UFCs, like, you know, like crazy brawlers that are now, you have these competitors that have been training since they're like 10, and they know what they're doing and they have really good technique. I was going to say your fight, you could tell the difference in levels of technique. Even though, because I know she was throwing some crazy punches, but I feel like you had, your technique down, like basic like the things you learn in training that you would hope comes out in your fight. And I feel like you displayed a lot of that. And I think that's what really persuaded your win. So yeah, I thought that was really, I noticed that like right away. I know Debbie, I've seen her fight in Muay Thai a while back, and she was very good. She was, she was pretty technical as well. But I can tell in this fight your technique was down. Like it's really good. I think it's important to, instead of getting caught up in that, crazy brawl, like you just, stand your ground, keep your technique, and just throw basic and you will land. Yeah. That's what I felt like I saw in that fight. I thought that was really cool. Did you feel like, you were more composed rather than your opponent?
I do feel like I was more, it felt more natural for me, if anything. It was definitely a struggle because going in, I had like a game plan going on of kind of what I wanted to do, the different techniques I could have displayed. I had lots of techniques ready that I wanted to show out there. I feel like I could have done more of. But going in and then you're going with somebody that you don't know their techniques, you don't know what they're gonna do. It's you have to switch up your game plan as you go. So going in, it's like your first fight, you're getting hit, you really don't hear anything. It's like things are just, you start to get tunnel vision. It's like you don't hear what your coach is saying, and then your coach, like you kind of have to just switch up what you're doing right then and there. But I do feel like I was maybe more composed and more like I felt more like in touch with what I was supposed to be doing. So going in, I felt kind of calm, and I was very I could listen whenever like the timer would go, and then my coaches would be talking to me. I wasn't flustered. I was kind of just like listening, trying to take in what I need to know, and then go back in and try and fix things again.
Now, when you went into that fight, did you talk about a game plan? Did you have this idea of, I'm going to finish her with this, or was it just, we'll see where the fight goes?
So I knew she was a lefty, so I've been working with lefties for a couple weeks. So it's like going in, I was kind of like I'm gonna just stay on the outside of her leg, attack that inside leg, and just hopefully I want to work more teeps and more kicks, but kind of trying to get in there, you have to close the distance. So she kind of stayed back to where I couldn't really land any of those teeps or anything like that. And I wanted to land my question mark kick. That's like my thing, question mark kick. I wanted to land that, but it just didn't have the right distance for it. So because every time we'd get in, it'd always end up just being punches, and we'd be on the wall. So it was like,
brawl.
Yeah. So it was kind of difficult because, work all that stuff I wanted to. But I mean, once I got into that, I kind of knew what I needed to do, stay in, keep my hands up, all that stuff.
Was it difficult fighting such like the height difference was, I feel like, considerable. Was it different? Because usually when you fight, you would throw a punch out straight, and this, it's like you have to punch down. Was that a different transition for you? Was that difficult?
So, it was kind of different. I'm very used to fighting girls who are like especially with wrestling. Wrestling now at this age, when all the girls are still very short, she's the exact same size as all the girls I always wrestle, exact same size. But with striking, because I'm so used to going with men, they're usually my size or maybe shorter, if not way taller. So it was kind of different because by the time that I had to get down to hit her, she's already right level with me. So it was kind of like, it was different. I think it was both. It had it's difficult, it's pluses and advantages and all that stuff. So it's like, it was definitely different, but I kind of accommodated to it.
Now, you're going into wrestling season, so no fighting, but you're going to keep training, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
And then you're talking about maybe competing in March. I'm surprised 559 Fights isn't like we'll find something for you.
That's why I didn't offer you one already. Another
yeah,
one.
That's exactly what I'm thinking. You talk about it, but are there any feelers out right now? Has anyone reached out to you after seeing that, or even before that? Like, just we want to get you on our card.
So nothing yet, really. I haven't gotten much. I know Valley Fight Series still wants me to fight for them really bad. But nothing really yet that I've heard of. Nobody's really asked me anything yet.
Well, they will, that's for sure, because after seeing your fight yesterday.
Yeah, hopefully. I'm hoping so.
Well, I'm glad you came on today. I didn't know. We really wanted to talk to you, and we didn't know. I was like, I hope she feels okay. Like, she's not, I hope she's willing to come on, because I know, like, after a fight, you probably just want to relax.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I was very lucky. I contacted the social media guy, Edson. Shout out to him. He's a good dude. He always gives us the great guests for our show. And I was like, we need her. Let's get her. And you're here. So we're so thankful for that.
Yeah, of course. Like, anytime, like, I want to get the full experience, get the whole thing, So it's like, I mean, as long as I'm still standing, I'm still able to talk, I'm still able to do all this. I don't see why not.
So, and we appreciate that, because you know what? You'd be surprised. So I also work in television, and there have been experiences where I've had fighters that were going to come on television to do an interview, and they didn't show up, and I never heard a word from them. Nothing. Yet it's like, right, this is a part of it, right? Like, media, you have to do it. And this was for Bellator. Yeah, so we appreciate you coming on the day after your fight.
Yeah.
And bumped and bruised.
I was skeptical. I'm like, man, can we get one of them today? Because that would be great, man. Just like coming right off of the fight, and talking to them about their experience. And especially you, I always love to talk to females, because there's a lot more now, but there really isn't a whole lot. Like there's males, it was kind of their thing for a while. And now I feel like, now that females are getting, I feel like people need to be heard, and see what their experience was like. So whenever there's, a female competitor, I'm like, can we please talk to her?
Yeah. Oh, like, especially now, like, the new generation that's coming up, it's like, they're insane. It's like the kids that I've seen that were babies whenever I was training, they're insane now. They're like, their technique is just on point.
They're leaps and bounds ahead of everybody else.
Yes, it's awesome. So yeah, especially the girls nowadays. I see beating up all the little boys now. It's awesome.
It is awesome.
Now, during wrestling season, do you compete at all in any other, like, you train, yeah, but so no jiu-jitsu, or is it just wrestling, or is it sky's the limit, we'll do everything?
So depending on kind of like how things go, I might like compete in like certain things every once in a while if I get the rules like timed right. But usually with wrestling, it's like it's weekend after weekend after weekend is a tournament and another tournament and another tournament. Like, you never really know. And if I ever get the chance where there's like maybe like a Muay Thai tournament or a Jiu-Jitsu tournament planned on a day where there's not wrestling, then maybe I'll do it. But usually wrestling season is so jam-packed that I never really find time. So it's usually just wrestling for those few months, and then I go off and do my own thing after.
Yeah. All right. Is there anybody you want to shout out?
Okay, let's see. I'll give a shout out to literally all of my wrestling team over at Golden West High School. Love them. All my coaches over there, Robbie, Burrito, and Coach Rich, all of them, Mesa, Doug. I want to thank Doug. I want to thank Tom. I want to thank everyone at Jiu-Jitsu that's helped me, all the guys at Jiu-Jitsu that have all helped me over at Muay Thai. I want to thank, all the guys that have been training me there, who's let me beat up on them all the time at sparring. Literally everybody, parents, whole family, everything. Yep.
Now, I don't know if they've set you up with social. Is there a social account for your MMA stuff yet, or no?
Yes, so I have an Instagram. It's at jackie.mma.04. So you'll find all my stuff on there. I'm usually always on there.
All right, awesome. I just want to make sure because I know you're young, like you could still have your personal, but there should be one for you professionally. So that's why I ask.
Yeah.
So we'd like to thank you for joining us, Jacqueline.
Yeah.
Yes, and good job yesterday. Congrats on the win. Good luck on your wrestling season coming up. And you know what? We will definitely have you back on in the future.
Yeah, check back
to follow
in.
your career.
Yeah, we'd like to talk to you. You know, anytime you have a fight, we'd love to talk to you. And we'll definitely be following you to see, you know, what comes about in your career. So I'm excited for you.
Me too. Thank you guys so much for having me.
Thank you. And we'll see you next time.
Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you. All right. See ya.
Bye.
All right. That was Jacqueline Green that just joined us, competed last night at 559 Fights and kicked ass. Phenomenal technique. I just couldn't compliment her more on how solid she looked for being a debuter and yet being so composed and looking amazing in the cage.
I didn't know she was that young. That's cool.
I didn't either. That really like blew my mind when I first started talking.
I figured like, you know, 20s.
Came on prior to the show. Yeah. I mean, with how she was competing, you think she was somebody who's been doing. I mean, she had been practicing it and doing it, but like competing in the cage as a debuter and looked so
seasoned,
composed. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, like you said, they were like, you know, the fight card obviously gets better as it goes, but it's so interesting how they match those up because it was her debut. Although I think she was further down in the fight card, still competed as if
she was. Yeah, but still like higher up than some of the guys.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, even though it was her debut, where they placed her on the card was like appropriate with how she fights. So that was cool.
That was awesome. But there was a lot going on last night. I don't know if you know. I don't know if I even told you that when we saw each other at the fights.
What?
Last night we had UFC. The day before that, which was Friday, we had Bellator. Let me go ahead and pop this up for us. That was UFC, but I'm going to pop over to this guy real quick. Cody Gibson competed last night against Cisco Rivera, and Cody got the win and championship. I don't recall exactly right now off the top of my head what the promotion was called, but Cody Gibson, who's also from Visalia, used to train out of Elite, got the win, won the belt. So awesome. I've always been a fan of Cody Gibson. He's a good dude. I've loved talking to him. Maybe someday we can get him on the show, hopefully.
Yeah. That would be
on
great.
Sunday around 1 o'clock. That'd be great.
Yeah, just putting it up
there. Moving on. Now we're going to go backwards a day and talk about Bellator first. Bellator had some title fights going on. And let me figure out what I'm doing here with my computer screen so I could get to it for us. Nimkov. Oh, come on. Come on with the ads, junkie, MMA junkie. Nimkov got the win over Corey Anderson to retain his light heavyweight belt. And I didn't get a chance to see the fight. I haven't seen the Bellator fights. But
I haven't either, but looking at all the results, they look like they were wild. They look like they were good fights.
The two fights that at least I was mostly interested in were the Nimkov title fight and then the title fight with Nurmagomedov. I don't recall his first name. I just know there's a ton of them now in fighting. But he fought Patricky Pitbull and cut him open something fierce. That was nuts.
Yeah.
And so he got the win on that. I want to say by decision. He beat Patricky. And then Nimkov retained by winning his fight against Corey Anderson. And then they went ahead and promoted the next fight, which is Yoel Romero versus Nimkov.
That's interesting.
That's
nuts. Well, I mean, Yoel Romero against anyone is interesting.
As seen in this photo by all the little veins that are popping out of his neck and chest. Yeah, that's going to be a really interesting fight. So that was that for Bellator going on. And then we'll go ahead and go to the UFC where we had the main event drop off day of.
It was weird. And so I was watching the fights and I'm like, okay, so, and I didn't watch it when it was live. So I'm like going back, but not watching every single one. But I'm like, well, at least I want to get the main card, you know? And so I started playing the fights. I'm like, okay, what's next? And I'm like, wait, where's the main event? Like, I can't find it on ESPN Plus. Like, I couldn't find Derek Lewis versus who he's fighting. And like, okay, well, that's weird. And then it just stopped after the Kutalaba fight. And I'm like, okay, well, that's strange. And then I read that it fell off. I'm like, oh, okay, that's weird due to some kind of stomach illness that he's fine now, I guess. I don't know. I'm guessing food poisoning or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, that was weird that he had stomach illness. We were talking about it last night at the fights when we found out that it dropped off. That food poisoning ?
I don't know. I figure what else could it be, because he wasn't sick anymore, like pretty soon. And then I don't know, it just said illness. So,
and then it was also like we talked about his Instagram. I'm okay.
He's okay. He's okay. Yeah.
Which sucks because that we are fans of Derek Lewis, and so we want to see him fight all the time. And so when he drops off a card, it's like, oh man.
Yeah, especially the main event.
We had Kennedy. I can't pronounce his last name, and that's just what I'm going to call him. Versus Ian Kutalaba.
Mm-hmm.
And that fight went to the second round with Kennedy getting the win by TKO or KO. Fortunately, I was at 559 Fights until late in the night.
Yeah.
I got home at like 12:30
because I left before it ended.
Almost midnight.
Oh,
the last two fights went to decision, and so I was there almost till midnight.
Mostly finishes on that fight card, though. So
the fight card was tremendously large.
Yeah, but even for that, the fights went pretty quickly because there was all finishes, like immediately.
There were a lot of finishes.
Yeah,
but then there were moments where it's decision, and then some of the grappling matches went to decision, and so that took time too. And then the walkouts, so it added up. And then we had a heavyweight bout between Chase Sherman and Waldo Cortez Acosta. Acosta won. A lot of up-and-comers, more or less, on this card that are looking to make a name for themselves and really develop their resume in the UFC. Mm-hmm. Of course, it's a fight night. But let's go ahead and move on to the next event, which is Thompson versus Holland. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson versus Kevin Holland. I always want to take Stephen Thompson because he's such a great stand-up fighter.
Yeah.
Both fighters coming off of a loss. Kevin Holland has been kind of up and down for me, but the same goes for Stephen Thompson. Like, to me, this is kind of a rough choice.
Well, Stephen Thompson, I
was going to take Thompson.
I get it would make sense, but man, I don't know. It's hard because Stephen Thompson, I don't know. Hasn't he been on quite the losing streak though already?
Yeah.
I'm not sure what fight it's been a while too. Like, he hasn't fought in a while, so I'm glad he's fighting again. But I think for a while he was coming across losses, and I don't know exactly where he's at right now, just because we haven't seen him fight in a while. And also Kevin Holland's crazy. Like, he's great. So I think anything could happen in that fight. You would think you would want to take Stephen Thompson, but
especially
you never know.
He's still ranked number 6. But you never know. Kevin Holland is a wild card.
Holland, I'm going to take Kevin Holland, I think. Yeah, I'm going to choose him.
And then also in the welterweight weight class, we have Brian Barberena versus Rafael Dos Anjos.
Yeah.
And this is weird. That mustache creeps me out a little bit, but that's me. Rafael has so much experience.
He's already been to the top. He's been to the top end.
And he knows he's not going to be like the champ, but he's still going to like fight and finish out the rest of his career.
Yeah.
He's doing it for fun now, it seems like. So I'll take Dos Anjos.
I'll take Barberena. He's pretty wild. Yeah, I'm gonna take Barberena.
I want to know how many people have ever called him Barbarella.
I don't know. Why would they call him Barbarella?
Okay, because I'm old and you're young. Barbarella was a movie with Jane Fonda. It's a sci-fi movie. It's a really weird movie, but yeah. And that's what I thought. I saw Barbarina and I thought Barbarella. That's me. And then we have in the heavyweights, we got Tai Tuivasa, who's very exciting to watch, versus Sergey Pavlovich. Tai Tuivasa is coming off a loss from his last fight, and then Pavlovich is coming off of a win. I got to go Pavlovich.
I feel like
I'm not mad if Tai Tuivasa wins. I'd be cool with that either way. But I feel like Sergey is going to outdo him.
Didn't Tai Tuivasa get really knocked out like really bad last time? And it really wasn't that long ago, I feel like. Like it wasn't that long ago. And it was like an epic knockout too. So I'm like, oh. He's getting back in there pretty fast.
But he leaves on his shield if he goes down. Like,
oh yeah. Yeah, he's crazy.
So but I'm still gonna take Sergey. I think he's gonna have the much better game plan.
I'm going to pick Tuivasa just because I want him to win. I want to see him get some wins again.
Understood. Completely understand. And then middleweight, we have number 5, Derek Brunson versus number 8, Jack Hermanson.
Yeah, this is a good
Brunson
fight.
Coming off a loss. This is a good fight. This is a close fight.
Yeah.
I want to take Brunson because I feel like he's just going to want to get that win.
I'm going to take Hermanson because I'm going to take Hermanson. He's crazy. He's been crazy.
He looks crazy.
He is crazy. He's good.
My buddy's a correctional officer, and I feel like he would be like, "Oh, I know that dude. He stayed over here one time."
Yeah, no, he's crazy. I like him.
All right, then to follow up the main card, Eric Anders and Kyle Dawkess.
But this is going to be a good fight. Also, Eric Anders is pretty tough too. Man, I'll take Kyle Dawkess.
All right, I'll take Eric Anders then. I believe I skipped one. The flyweight bout. It's going to go to a decision. Why? Because we're flyweights. Just being honest. Matt Schnell versus Matthias Nicolau. Who you got?
Matt Schnell. I'm going to take him.
I got Matthias.
Okay.
We're just going against the grain against each other. We're just like, yeah, we disagree.
Yeah.
Those are our picks for the UFC coming up. What is it, this weekend? No, later. Thanksgiving is this weekend.
Yeah.
I forgot. So that's the 3rd. So we've got our picks already.
After.
Yeah.
Let's see.
So we'll see what's up.
Yep, that is the very next weekend. So, well, yeah.
All right. So those are our picks for that. Damn, we could have done without that. Oh, well. Just jumping the gun, I guess.
Yeah. That's okay.
It's all right. KSI versus Dylan Dennis boxing taking place January 14th.
That's strange.
Dylan Dennis is the guy who I've heard more about. I've heard more about him than actually seen him fight.
Same here. I was thinking about that. I'm like, okay, everyone knows this guy, and he's such a terror. Like,
yeah.
And like, what is he doing?
We'll even see if this fight really takes place.
Who knows?
I mean, it's supposed to, but we'll see. Who knows?
Dylan Dennis, is he a boxer by any means?
I don't know what he is by any means. Because I don't know if he's even a fighter. It sounds like he just
is he a fighter anymore? Wasn't he in Bellator? Exactly. I don't remember.
I want to say yes, but I'm not. I don't know. I haven't seen him fight in so long. I forgot.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I forgot.
All right. That's the kind of random news that we have. But unfortunately, there is some sad news to report today.
There's always sad news.
This, unfortunately, last week we had the passing of Anthony Rumble Johnson. And today it came out the passing of Jason David Frank. He played the Green, most notably known as the Green Ranger on Power Rangers. He was a former MMA fighter. He did train and compete in MMA, lifelong martial artist. He committed suicide, unfortunately, at the age of 49.
Wow.
This sucks. Like, I never met Anthony Johnson, but it's still sad. Every time death happens, it's sad. I met this guy.
Oh,
and he
did
was
you?
very nice. And so it's like, oh man, that sucks.
Yeah.
And
like
it was
a
also
movie
this was my childhood right here. Like the dude was the Green Ranger. At that time, I was just at that right age. Power Rangers hit. That was the shit. So
Yeah. I'm still tripped out about Anthony Johnson just because I didn't know he had cancer. No one really knew. And then it's kind of like he's so young, and like all of a sudden, it's like that he knew, but no one else knew. So it's just so crazy when that happens.
Well, you talk about Anthony Johnson in that way. We'll also look at Chadwick Boseman. Same situation. He didn't tell anybody, and he was dealing with it, and he passed from it, unfortunately. With with Jason David Frank, it was a different circumstance because he did commit suicide, but still sad nonetheless. And man, it sucks. But I appreciate the work he did because as a Power Rangers fan into now, I'm still a Power Ranger fan. I'm a fucking nerd. What can I say? Nerd. Yeah, I appreciated his work. So
I didn't know that he was an MMA fighter.
Yeah, he competed in MMA. Let's see if it says it in the article. He made his professional MMA debut in 2010.
Wow.
For Texas Cage Fighting Puro Combate 1, where he submitted Jose Roberto Vasquez by rear naked choke in just 46 seconds. Nice. It was his only pro fight, but he still did it. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. But I was a huge fan, and it just sucks when you hear about stuff like that going on.
Yeah.
Sorry to end it on such a down, but we did have a really solid interview with Jacqueline Green. I don't know who if you didn't see it, go watch it. It's at the beginning. It's on YouTube. We're on everything. So go check it out. Next 559 Fights is next month in December on the 17th, I believe. So that's going to be going down, and we compliment them all the time. We had a great time at the show last night. Just kicking back, watching the fights. I was doing results for a fellow MMA journalist, helping him out get those results put out there, and had a great time. A long time too. Getting home at like 12:30, 1 o'clock. I was like, okay, bedtime.
Oh yeah, we left early, and it was still late. So I'm like, it's late.
Yeah,
it takes an hour, just about an hour, 45, 50 minutes to get to Visalia from here because I'm all the way in Clovis. So kind of took a while.
I understand. That's going to do it for us here at the MMA Mainstream Podcast. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you guys next time.